Did you know that over 100,000 bands have broken up since the year 2000, and many of them ended not with a farewell, but with lawsuits, arrests, or silence, from on-stage meltdowns to betrayals that tore metal legends apart? Here are 25 worst divorces in heavy metal history. 1. Pantera. They were once one of the loudest and strongest bands in heavy metal, but the way they fell apart was not just sad, it was painful to watch. In the mid-1990s, things started to go wrong. Phil Anselmo, the singer, had terrible back pain. Instead of taking time off or getting help, he started using heroin. That changed everything. He stopped showing up to practice. He stayed away from Dimebag Darrell and Vinnie Paul, his bandmates. They grew apart like strangers. When it was time to record their 1996 album, they didn't even work in the same studio. They didn't talk things through. They just stayed far away. That silence said a lot. They tried to keep the band going, but it was already falling apart. In 2003, they broke up for good. But that wasn't the worst part. Just 1 year later, something horrible happened. Dimebag Darrell was shot and eliminated while performing on stage. It shocked fans around the world. People were crying, confused, and angry. How could a band that gave so much energy end like this? There were no last goodbyes, no final shows, just silence, pain, and loss. The anger between the members was never fixed. Phil, Vinnie, and Dimebag never had the chance to talk again. That made it worse. 2. Queensryche. Let's meet what was a metal band with big ideas and strong voices. But what made them great also tore them apart. For years, Jeff Tate led the band with his powerful singing. But behind the scenes, things weren't going well. The other members didn't like how decisions were being made. Fights about money and creative choices kept building up. It didn't blow up overnight. It grew slowly. By 2012, the other band members couldn't take it anymore. They voted to kick Jeff out. And that's when things really got ugly. Jeff didn't just walk away. He got angry. He got physical. He got lawyers. He even started his own version of Queensryche and went on tour. That meant fans saw two different bands using the same name. It was messy, confusing, and honestly embarrassing. People didn't know who to support. Was it the band with the name or the voice they grew up with? It was a disaster that went on for 2 years. Lawsuits flew back and forth. Old friends became enemies. Everything they built as a team was falling apart in public. In 2014, a deal was finally made. The other members got to keep the name Queensryche. Jeff got rights to sing songs from certain albums, but by then, the damage had already been done. Fans felt split. The band had changed forever. It wasn't just a breakup. It was a war with no winners. 3. Sepultura. If you think of Brazilian metal, you think about them. They were Brazil's heavy metal kings. And Max Cavalera wasn't just the frontman. He was family. He helped build the band from the ground up. But when things started to fall apart in the 1990s, it was more than just business. It was personal. The problems started small. Fights about managers, different views about how the band should grow. Then Max's stepson died suddenly, and everything changed. Max wanted time. He needed space. But the band kept moving without him. That choice cut deep. When Max left in 1996, it wasn't just quitting a job. It felt like losing a part of himself. The rest of Sepultura brought in a new singer and kept the name. Max, hurt and angry, formed a new band called Soulfly. Both bands kept going. Both kept making music. But fans noticed something was missing. The unity was gone. People took sides. Some stayed with Sepultura. Others followed Max. The energy they once shared split in two. Every show, every album after that came with questions. 4. Korn. This was always a band that lived on the edge. Their sound, their look, and their struggles were all out in the open. But in 2005, something major happened. Brian "Ed" Welch, one of the guitarists, walked away. He had been using substances for a long time. His life was spinning out of control. Then he found faith and decided he couldn't keep living that way. He said goodbye to the band, but not quietly. His decision made headlines. Some people were proud of him, others were confused or even angry. Korn kept going without him, but the space he left was big. The music changed, the vibe was different. Head went off to do solo work. He wrote a book. He spoke about faith and recovery. It seemed like he had left that old life behind forever. But things weren't that simple. Fans missed the old sound. Korn seemed to struggle with their new direction. For 8 years, the split stood. Then, in 2013, Head came back. It was a big deal. He played with them again and fans cheered. But that return didn't erase the past. 5. Lamb of God. The cracks were there. Around 2006, things started changing. The music got more personal. The lyrics weren't about politics anymore. They were about pain. Randy Blythe, the singer, was struggling. Depression hit hard. Alcohol didn't help. He tried to keep it together, but being on tour all the time made things worse. His mind wasn't okay. His life started to fall apart behind the scenes. The rest of the band saw it. They tried to keep the music going, but the heavy schedule of shows, travel, and pressure was taking its toll. Families at home were suffering. Relationships got harder to keep. Everyone was tired. No one was really happy. They didn't break up, but they were barely holding on. In 2012, things got even worse. Randy was arrested overseas after a fan died during a past show. That shook the band to the core. The case brought a lot of attention. Fans were shocked. The band paused everything. Randy was found not guilty, but the damage had been done. After that, Lamb of God started to move more carefully. They weren't just about music anymore. They were about survival. They made it through, but not without scars. This wasn't a divorce in the legal sense, but emotionally, it almost was. 6. Skeleton Witch. Skeleton Witch may not be as famous as some other bands, but their split with Chance Garnett in 2014 shook their world. He wasn't just a singer, he was the voice fans knew. Then came the arrest, domestic assault charges. The news hit fast and hard. Fans didn't know what to think. The band didn't wait. They cut ties almost right away. They didn't give many details. They didn't defend him. They just moved on. For a while, they played shows without a singer. It felt empty. The band was trying to survive, but the heart was missing. People asked, would they find someone new? Could the band bounce back from something so serious? In 2018, they finally got a new frontman. Their sound changed. Their look changed. They became a different band. Some fans came back, others never did. Overkill. The damage that tore this band apart took time, and it went deep. In the early 1990s, things inside the band started to get ugly. Guitarist Bobby Gustafson had been there for years. He helped build the sound that fans loved. But Gustafson wasn't happy. He felt like he was being pushed out of decisions. He wanted a bigger say in how songs were made. He wanted more money too. The rest of the band didn't agree. They thought Gustafson was asking for too much. The fights grew louder. People stopped talking. The tension got so bad that Gustafson finally left. When he walked away, it was like a crack split the band in two. They found new people to fill in, but fans could tell it wasn't the same. The sound changed. The feeling changed. Gustafson and the band didn't stay quiet either. Over the years, both sides said nasty things in interviews. The anger never went away. What started as a fight over money and music turned into a deep cut that never healed. Gustafson felt betrayed. The band felt like he was being selfish. Nobody won. 8. Guns N' Roses. This is a story of how a band blew up. By the time the 1990s rolled around, things inside the band were a mess. At first, they looked like a dream team. Axl Rose on vocals, Slash on guitar, Duff on bass, and Steven Adler on drums. They had it all: talent, fame, and wild shows. But behind the scenes, it was chaos. Substances, fights, and egos ran the show. Steven Adler had a hard time with addiction. It got so bad that he couldn't keep up. The band kicked him out. It was a hard move, but they said they had no choice. Then Axl started showing up late to shows. Sometimes he didn't show at all. Fans got tired of waiting. Venues got mad. The rest of the band got fed up. The trust was broken. Slash, who many saw as the heart of the band, couldn't take it anymore. He walked away. After that, Guns N' Roses wasn't the same. Sure, they kept playing. Axl brought in new people. The name stayed alive, but the soul was missing. It felt like watching a shadow of something great. 9. Life of Agony. These guys had a sound that grabbed people. Their third album, Soul Searching Sun, came out in 1997 and felt like a step forward. The fans were there, the music was strong, but something wasn't right behind the scenes. Lead singer Mina Caputo was struggling, not just with fame or pressure, but with personal identity. She didn't feel okay. The pain grew too strong. Caputo made the choice to leave the band. It shocked fans. Her voice wasn't just part of the music, it was the soul of it. The band didn't give up right away. They tried to move on. They brought in a new singer and played more shows. But it didn't feel right. The magic was missing. The songs felt flat. The connection was gone. Fans noticed. By 1999, the band shut it all down. They said they couldn't go on without Caputo. And they were right. Some voices are just too tied to a band to replace. Later, Caputo would open up about her struggles. It gave fans a deeper view into why things fell apart. It wasn't just a band problem, it was a personal one. People started to understand, but it didn't change the past. The breakup hit hard. It was quiet, but it hurt just as much as any loud fight. 10. Godflesh. Godflesh made heavy, dark music. In 2001, they put out their 6th album, Hymns. It was different from their old sound. They tried something new, but not everyone liked the change. Bassist Ben Green wasn't happy. He didn't like the new direction. He felt the music was losing its core. Right before a big tour, he walked away. No warning, just gone. That move hit hard. Fans were surprised. The rest of the band was shaken. Then things got worse. Frontman Justin Broderick couldn't take the pressure. He had a nervous breakdown. Everything stopped. The tour was canceled. The band broke up in 2002. No farewell show, no final words, just silence. It was like they vanished. Fans were left in shock. Godflesh didn't go out with a bang. They fell apart from the inside. Over the years, people asked what happened. Why did it end like that? Interviews gave some answers. Broderick talked about stress, pain, and burnout. Green talked about losing faith in the sound. Together, their voices told a sad story. Not of hate, but of weight. The kind of pressure that makes people crumble. 11. Pentagram. This band always had dark music, but their real-life story turned even darker. In 2017, lead singer Bobby Liebling got into serious trouble. He was arrested for assault and abuse. The news spread fast. Fans were shocked. It wasn't just a rumor. He went to jail for 18 months. During that time, the band had to act. Guitarist Victor Griffin took over vocals. They still played shows. They tried to keep the music alive, but it wasn't easy. People didn't forget what happened. Liebling's actions changed how many saw the band. It wasn't just about music anymore. It was about trust, about safety, about right and wrong. Some fans walked away. Others tried to separate the music from the man, but the stain was there. The band tried to move on, but the damage was deep. Liebling had been the face and voice of Pentagram. Without him, things felt different, and with him, things felt broken. It was a lose-lose. Every interview brought up the arrest. Every show came with questions. 12. Led Zeppelin. The kings of heavy metal didn't fall apart because of drama. They fell apart because of death. In 1980, drummer John Bonham died. He drank too much and never woke up. It wasn't just a loss. It was the end. The band didn't try to replace him. They didn't tour without him. They made a choice. No Bonham, no Zeppelin. That choice shocked the world. Most bands keep going, not Led Zeppelin. They ended it fast. No long goodbye, just silence. That kind of loyalty is rare. They knew Bonham couldn't be replaced. His drumming was the heartbeat of the band. Without him, the music would never be the same. Fans were heartbroken. They begged for a reunion. They hoped for one last tour. But the band stayed firm. Years passed. Members did other things, but they never brought Zeppelin back full-time. The power was gone. And even when they played a show together years later, it didn't feel the same. 13. Rage Against the Machine. When this band started, they were pure power and passion. Their mix of metal and rap was bold, loud, and full of protest. They stood for causes, for rebellion, for anger that had a message. But that same fire became their downfall. In 2000, the band broke apart. They said it was creative differences, but the truth is they couldn't get along. The same strong voices that made them famous were pulling in different directions. They weren't on the same page anymore. Not about music, and not about what the band stood for. When they came back in 2007, it felt forced. It was like they were trying to fix something that had already shattered. The fire wasn't the same. They did shows, but it was more about keeping the name alive than making something new. Then, in 2011, they stopped again. Another silence. Fans still hoped, but it became clear the band was just barely hanging on. In 2020, they planned a big return, a full tour. People were excited, but then the world stopped because of COVID. As if that wasn't enough, Zach De La Rocha hurt his leg. The band paused again. Fans waited, but behind the scenes, things weren't healing. There were no new songs, no real talks, just more waiting. Then, in 2024, it all ended again. A third breakup. No big fight, no farewell. Just another quiet goodbye. For a band that once screamed truth, they ended in silence. 14. Merciful Fate. Here is a band that helped shape black metal. They were dark, heavy, and different. Their music was bold and full of energy. But inside the band, trouble was growing. In 1985, things fell apart. Guitarist Hank Sherman wanted to change. He wanted the music to be more commercial, something that could sell better. But King Diamond, the lead singer, didn't want to sell out. He believed in the sound they had. He wasn't going to change just to please the market. That was the breaking point. Instead of working it out, King Diamond left, and not quietly. He took 3 members with him and made a new band. Sherman stayed behind, trying to build something from what was left. But it wasn't the same. The sound, the spirit, the feeling, they were gone. Fans were left confused. They didn't get a final album, a farewell tour, or even a proper goodbye. The split felt like a crack that turned into a canyon. Merciful Fate became a band that meant a lot to metal fans, but ended too soon. Their songs were strong, but their teamwork wasn't. Pride got in the way. No one wanted to bend. No one wanted to listen. It wasn't just about music. It was about control, about who had the final say, about power. Once that fight began, the end was near. Merciful Fate didn't need enemies. They had each other. 15. The Chariot. The Chariot came out swinging in 2003. The band was wild, raw, and never played it safe. Formed by Josh Scogin after leaving Norma Jean, they built a reputation fast. Their shows were chaos. Guitars flying, drums crashing, screams echoing. They didn't care about rules. That made them stand out. But it also wore them down. Being that intense all the time takes a toll. 10 years later, in 2013, they quit. There was no big blow-up, no fight. They just stopped. But stopping quietly doesn't mean the end wasn't painful. The silence said a lot. Fans were shocked. A band that loud went out with a whisper. Scogin moved on fast. He started a new band called 68. It had a different sound. He still had music in him, just not for the chariot. 16. Texas in July. When they started, this band looked strong. A young metalcore band from Pennsylvania. They had fire. Their music hit hard. Their shows packed energy. But something felt off. They didn't explode like others. They grew slowly. By 2015, it was over. No fights, no drama, just done. It was like they got tired of trying. Chris Davis, their guitarist, didn't wait long. He joined The Ghost Inside. It was a fast move, too fast. Fans wondered, was he already planning to leave? Did he believe in the band at all? Texas in July had talent. They had songs that made you move, but their ending felt lazy. No farewell, no thank you, no moment for fans. Just gone. It's one thing for a band to end in flames, another to slip away like nothing mattered. Texas in July had a chance, but chances only matter if you fight for them. They didn't. And now, all people remember is that they could have been more. 17. Glass Cloud. These guys came fast and loud in 2011. Their sound was sharp, their image fresh. But cracks showed early. The band hit pause within a few years and never came back. There was no big talk about why, just silence. Fans waited, but nothing happened. Then guitarist Joshua Travis left and joined Emmure. That said a lot. If he believed in Glass Cloud, why leave? No farewell, no goodbye. Glass Cloud faded. It felt like they didn't care. Their music showed promise, but promise means nothing without effort. Travis seemed done. The others said little. Fans were left wondering. A band with that kind of power shouldn't disappear without a word. But they did. Glass Cloud didn't fail because of critics or fans. They failed because they stopped trying. No fight, no push, just silence. That's worse than a breakup. That's giving up without saying it out loud. 18. The Human Abstract. Their music sounded clean, powerful, and different. They had talent, but what fans didn't see at first was the chaos behind the scenes. From the very beginning, the band kept changing. New faces showed up, old ones disappeared. It felt like a spinning door. And every time someone left or joined, the band changed, just a little. It didn't feel steady. It didn't feel strong. It felt like something ready to fall. By 2011, the end finally came. And by then, most people had already seen it coming. The band was shaky. They couldn't keep a lineup for long. They were trying to make something last while the ground under them kept shaking. When A.J. Minette, their guitarist, walked away from metal and started doing classical music instead, it hit hard. That wasn't just a job switch. That felt like him saying he was done with the drama. He found peace somewhere else. He chose something more calm, more stable. And maybe that said more than any song ever could. 19. Kyotos. There were moments when this band shined. Their music was bold. They mixed sounds that didn't usually go together and somehow made it work. But behind the loud guitars and strong vocals, something else was happening. There was tension. People inside the band weren't always on the same page. One idea pulled this way, another pulled that way. It was only a matter of time before everything tore apart. The band officially ended in 2016. But really, the break started much earlier. The signs were clear. The band changed members more than once. Arguments, new directions, side projects. It all chipped away at what once made Kyoto strong. Lead singer Craig Owens was a big part of the band. His voice stood out, but it also became clear that he wanted something different. He started putting his time into something else, Bad X Channels. When a singer makes a new project, it means one thing: they want out. Craig didn't just take a break. He ran toward something new, something that gave him more control. Kyotos had become too hard to hold on to. Too many voices, too many ideas. It was like trying to carry water with a torn bucket. You just can't do it. Fans felt the cracks. Each album was a little different, not always in a good way. Energy faded. Passion turned into pressure. No one looked happy anymore. When the end came, people were sad but not surprised. The fire was out long before the final show. 20. Rise to Remain. They came from London, played fast and loud, and had a frontman with a famous last name. Austin Dickinson, son of Iron Maiden's Bruce Dickinson, brought attention right away. People expected big things. At first, the band delivered. Their music had punch. They climbed fast in the metal world across the UK and Europe, but they climbed without a strong rope. That climb couldn't last. From 2006 to 2015, they looked like rising stars. But behind that shine, there were problems, creative issues, tension inside the group. They made it look smooth, but the band was slowly falling apart. Then one day, it just ended. No big fight, no major drama, just silence. And that silence was louder than words. After the band stopped, Austin moved on quickly. He started a new group, as Lions. This new band had a different feel, more grown up, more focused. It was clear that he wanted to move on. And maybe Rise to Remain was never built to last. Maybe it was just a step to something better. But still, it stung. Fans had believed. They saw potential. The music wasn't the problem. The songs were strong. The problem was the people. They couldn't stick together. They had energy, but no direction. That's like stepping on the gas while turning the wheel in every direction. You don't go forward, you spin. Haste the Day. These guys had heart. They mixed heavy sound with deep meaning. Their Christian metalcore style gave them a strong following. People felt their songs. But even passion has limits. Behind the music was a team that kept changing. Members left, others filled in. Then more changes came. It didn't stop. Every time someone new came in, the sound changed a little. The band tried to keep it going, but too much change takes a toll. By 2011, they were done. They gave fans a farewell tour, but many already knew it was over. The energy wasn't the same. The fire was smaller. The spark that made Haste the Day shine had faded. Bands can survive some change, but not when it keeps happening. The soul of the band gets lost. That's what happened here. Haste the Day didn't break in a loud way. They just wore out, like a rope pulled too tight for too long. Eventually, it snaps. Some members found success in other bands. That just proved something important. Their hearts were already in other places. Even before the final tour, they were already halfway gone. Fans hoped for a return, but a comeback needs solid ground. And that ground was gone. 22. Coal Chamber. They were part of the new metal scene and had a big following, but what people didn't know was that behind the loud music and wild shows, things were falling apart. There was tension between band members. It wasn't just a few arguments here and there, it was deep and ugly. In 2002, the worst happened. During a live show in Texas, Des Fafara, the lead singer, and Meigs Rascon, the guitarist, fought on stage. Yes, they actually hit each other in front of fans. It was a public meltdown, and there was no hiding it anymore. That night showed just how broken they were. After that, the end came fast. By 2003, the band was done. People hoped they would get back together, and they did try in 2011. They released a new album in 2015 called Rivals. But the anger and bad blood were still there. It didn't matter how good the songs were. Behind the scenes, things were never fixed. Des later said the band was over forever in 2016. No more chances, no more trying. Just done. What makes this story worse is that fans believed they could last. They had the style, the sound, and the stage presence. But none of that helped when egos clashed and trust broke. 23. Badlands. This next band had everything going for them. Jake E. Lee had already played guitar for Ozzy Osbourne. Ray Gillen had a strong voice and a real presence on stage. When the band started, people had high hopes. But something dark was waiting behind the scenes. The real problem wasn't just music disagreements. It was silence. Ray Gillen was sick. Very sick. He had AIDS, but he didn't tell the band. He tried to keep it private, maybe thinking he could push through. but that silence created stress. As they toured the UK in 1992, things got worse. Ray left the band, and they had no idea why. It left the others confused, even angry. They searched for a new singer, but no one fit. The heart of the band was gone. Then came the final blow. Ray died in 1993. It wasn't just the end of his life, it was the end of Badlands. Fans were left shocked and sad. Their last album, Dusk, came out in 1998, long after the band had stopped. By then, it felt like a memory instead of a release. There was no tour, no real closure, just a record from a band that had already faded away. What hurt most was the way it ended. No big fight, no public drama, just quiet pain, private struggles, and a slow goodbye. People didn't even know the full story until much later. Badlands could have been great. Diamond Head. It was a shame this band ended because they should have been huge. They had the talent, they had the respect of giants like Metallica, but they just couldn't keep it together. Their problems didn't come from the outside, they came from inside. Creative fights kept coming up. Everyone wanted to lead. Everyone had a different idea of what the band should sound like. At first, it didn't seem like a big deal, but over time, it became clear they couldn't agree. In the early 1980s, they were on top of their game. Fans loved their sound, but in 1985, the band split up. Just like that, it was over. They came back in the 1990s, hoping to make it work again. But old problems don't go away easily. They broke up again in 2003. It felt like the band was always on shaky ground. No one was sure if they would stay together. They did keep making music and touring, but the same question followed them. How long would it last? Diamond Head is a perfect example of how talent isn't enough. If a band can't get along, the music won't save them. Their songs were good, their influence was clear, but their teamwork was broken. Fans wanted to believe they could get past it, but deep down, it always felt like a matter of time before things exploded again. 25. St. Vitus. This band had a hard road from the start. They weren't mainstream. They didn't get big radio plays or shiny music videos. Instead, they carved out a place in the doom metal world. That genre was dark, slow, and heavy. Not everyone liked it, but St. Vitus kept pushing. They were true to their sound. Still, the metal world didn't always welcome them. Surprisingly, the punk scene gave them more love than fellow metal fans. But that support didn't keep the band together. In 1996, they broke up. Years of low sales, tough tours, and inner struggles finally took a toll. For a while, fans thought it was over for good. But in the 2000s, the band came back. People were excited. In 2012, they dropped Lily, F65. The sound was raw and heavy. But once again, the band faced trouble. Members changed. Arguments started again. Some members battled personal issues. It felt like the band was always fighting something, outside and inside. Even during their returns, they couldn't find steady ground. One tour would go well, and the next would fall apart. St. Vitus had something real, something different, but they also had chaos. Fans stayed loyal, but even they could see the cracks. The band had chances to grow, but something always pulled them back.